Hello everyone, the Mummy Dust here. So today I finally got to do my Kingdom Cup. It seemed like an eternity, but this first battle is against 87 KD 87. And the first thing I noticed about his team is he doesn't have a Lapras, so my Altaria lead is good to go. I kind of wanted to lead with my Altaria, Blaziken, Lucario team for the majority of these matches, depending on what they had. Um, just because it was really difficult to kind of deal with the two fighting types. So once they thought they got rid of Lucario, then the Blaziken can come in and sweep up. But here we open up with Altaria versus Blaziken, which is a great matchup for me. He even uses a shield and then takes a while to get out of there, goes into his Altaria. I have a pretty good energy match, or energy built up at this time. So I'm going to try and go for the Dragon Pulse. So this is why I shield here and try to hit the Dragon Pulse, see if I can catch him off guard. Didn't think he would shield if he thought it was a Sky Attack, but he shields the Dragon Pulse regardless, so I'm just going to try and get as much damage in as I can and swap to Lucario. So now Lucario can take out the Altaria with a power-up punch and be pretty well set up for whatever comes in next. So he does actually get a Sky Attack off with almost no health left, but you know, the shields in the Kingdom Cup are meant to be used on your Lucario. So I use it and check to see what comes in, which is his Lucario, which is great because I have my power-up punch ready to go and he has no shields at this point. So Lucario finishes off his, and then the third Pokemon coming in is his Blaziken again, and I was able to finish it off. And I did have, everybody left to take out that Blaziken, or um, whatever else he might have threw at me. So at this point, I wanted to not lead with Altaria again. So I was thinking that he might lead with one of his dragons. So I'm going to go ahead and lead with Lapras. Like I said, I switched from a Water Gun Lapras to an Ice Shard Lapras. It just seemed like it had better matchup because Altaria was going to be led a lot. As you can see, he has Flygon. Skarmory wasn't really that common, but he has it on his team. But the Ice Shard Lapras, I think, has better coverage overall. I mean, it has a better matchup against Bastiodon, but which actually happens here. But overall, I think Ice Shard was the way to go. It was better against the Dragon types, especially the Dragon Flying Altaria, which I thought would be very, very common. So he leads with Bastiodon. I lead with Lapras. It's not the best matchup in the world. And then I go to look to see the switch, and I'm like, well, I don't really have anything I can switch into that's good against this. So I'm just going to keep Lapras in. And then I think I check again for some reason just to double check. I'm just going to try and keep Lapras in until I can get this thing down as far as possible. Try and burn some of his shields, see what happens. And I do almost faint it with the Lapras, which is good because Ice Shard does charge the charge move quite a bit faster, and I'm not sure why that Surf didn't go off. That was kind of unfortunate, but it doesn't really affect this battle. So now my Bastiodon comes in versus his, and I think this was the only time I had double Bastiodons. The mirror match, the exciting one, happen. But I'm just going to try and build up energy here. I don't really want to use a flamethrower. I know that I can feint his and hopefully get maybe a Lucario or something coming in. I thought it was Lucario, so I switched to Charizard, but it's still good because Charizard has a favorable matchup against Blaziken because it resists that fighting type. So then he switches into Skarmory, which is fine because he blocked the Dragon Claw. And then I'm just going to try and take the Skarmory out with these Fire Spins here. Do try to go for a Blast Burn, but then I decide against it because I figured that he's going to shield anyways. And he does. So then hopefully I can get to this other Dragon Claw, which I do, and hit him with that instead of just using the Blast Burn and not getting off another move. And he uses a charge move here, which is absolutely fine because I have Bastiodon left, and Bastiodon can take out the Skarmory and I think his Blaziken with no problem. Would have been a much tougher matchup if he used Lucario, but he decided against it for whatever reason. And we do take round one, 2-0 sweep. And it was, pretty much a blowout in the first match. That one was a little bit closer, but still a lot of breathing room compared to what, a lot of the Kingdom Cup battles can be. So then our next match is going to be against Dark Tyranitar 45. And this is his team. And it's pretty much the standard team. So, like I said, I wanted to lead with that Altaria, Lucario, Blaziken, because it's kind of hard to deal with. I figured if he brought Alolan Marowak, I might be in a little bit of trouble. Um, but other than that, I should have been fine. And he leads with Lucario against Altaria. And leading Lucario is extremely risky, so he's going to build up some energy and get out of there. And send in his Altaria. So at this point, I do have the energy advantage and the tempo advantage. So he doesn't shield, so I'm good, and I'm just going to go ahead and switch to Lucario here and shield so that I can take out the Altaria with Lucario and build up some synergy for, whatever Pokemon he's going to bring in next. Because I know that his Lucario can easily be beaten by my Blaziken, especially with the amount of health that it has left. I wasn't afraid of that at all. So we're just going to go ahead and use both shields against this Altaria and take it out. And now I have a power-up punch built up. And whatever comes in, I'm just going to power-up punch it. Obviously, Dark Tyranitar knew what he was doing. He kind of waited the timer out so he wasn't going to take some extra hits. And our Lucarios are pretty much going to kill each other. Actually, he gets off power-up punch, which was kind of a waste because he could have, saved all that energy. But in comes Blaziken to finish it off. And I get this a lot, but I found out if you just tap on the screen, it'll go away. And then he brings in Bastiodon, and my Blaziken will take that out with a Focus Blast, no problem. So it was a good matchup. Dark Tyranitar's always in the gyms. Whenever I go to Lancaster, he's in them all the time. So it was pretty cool to meet him. Uh, probably one of the top players in the area. Him and Steven, one of the other players, were talking about, how they were likely to get the regional invite, which kind of sucked for me because I didn't do Boulder or Twilight Cup because I wasn't, really sure exactly how all this stuff worked. Now that I was really into it, I like it a lot more. So looking at his team, I figured he was either going to lead with Altaria or Alolan Marowak this time. So I went ahead and risked it and led with Bastiodon because he got beat handily because he led with Lucario, so I didn't think he would lead Lucario again. And I guessed right, and he brings out Altaria. So my predictions were on point for this matchup, and he instantly switches to Lucario, so I instantly switched to Charizard. I guess I could have switched a little bit faster. I just kind of wanted to see what he switched into. But as you can tell, Charizard was a very, very good pick for me. It took out Lucario all day, ate him for breakfast, and here I could farm up some energy. So when he brings back in his Altaria, I can hit it with 2 Dragon Claws. So he was waiting the timer out, so he's not taking those hits. Brings in his Altaria and hit it with the first Dragon Claw. I almost didn't get that one powered all the way up, but luckily I did. And get off that second Dragon Claw. And I think I actually almost get to a third one. But there I burned both the shields, which was awesome. And now I can go back into kind of energy farming mode with Bastiodon because Altaria just cannot do anything against it. And this time I do try to switch instantly. Unfortunately, it didn't quite let me, but it wasn't a big deal. So now he's got Lapras against Lucario, which is an amazing matchup for me. And we get off the power-up punch, aka the Detroit Smash, and kill his Lapras. Down it goes. Altaria comes in, and he uses a Sky Attack immediately that he farms some energy up for, and down goes my Lucario. However, I do have my Bastiodon, who I think was MVP. I don't care if he's ugly. I don't care if he's not Steelix. I walked this guy like 400 kilometers for this tournament, so I didn't have to invest all my rare candies, and I still didn't even power him up all the way. You can see he's 1453. I figured that was good enough. It wouldn't really come up to the point where, the few HP or defense points would really matter too much. So we go ahead and take game 2 against Dark Tyranitar. So I 2-0'd him as well. And then we got Ruger Amber and her team, and she does have the double fightings. Instead, it's Infernape instead of Blaziken. And then there is the Dragonair as well in there instead of Charizard, which I kind of thought was interesting. And the Dragonair was the lead against Altaria, so I am pretty happy with that because Altaria is a little bit better, bulkier, kind of better all around Pokemon for the Great League than Dragonair is. So this lead is really good for me, so I'm happy that I'm off to a good start. And I'm going to Sky Attack the Dragonair, and it gets blocked. And then I decide to duck into Lucario and shield the Aqua Tail. I guess I probably could have taken it. I don't think it would have made a huge difference in this match because, as you'll see, I kind of make a big mistake. Brings in Lucario, and I go for the Shadow Ball shenanigans, and it worked. So I was like, dang, I'm doing really good right now. However, I did use both of my shields. I probably should have not shielded that Aqua Tail. But then I go to switch, and I just hit Blaziken. I don't know why I did. It was terrible. And it basically just gave the match away at this point. I slammed the table. Super pissed. So if you are, battling, make sure that you're not just tapping the screen where the Pokemon switch in, because you might lose a match because of it. Luckily for me, it was just the one battle, and you get the best 2 out of 3. So hopefully I can make it up here in the next 2 battles, if possible. So I lose this one simply because I switched. I could have really kept the same team, but I felt really confident in my Lapras because Lapras was going to be good against Altaria or Dragonair. So I decided to lead with Lapras, and the lineup hadn't failed me yet. And it always feels really weird in the Kingdom Cup to kind of go without Lucario, but I did it a couple times, and it actually paid off for me. So here we're just waiting for her to pick her team. And I lead off with my Lapras, and she leads off with Dragonair, which is great because I did choose my Ice Shard Lapras. And Dragonair actually still kind of rips into Lapras, which I was kind of surprised about. But Aqua Tail going to be resisted because Lapras is water type, so it barely does anything. And then I go for the Surf to bait the shield. And got that. So then we're just going to keep going away with Ice Shards and try and win this first matchup. Aqua Tail again, I do decide to shield this time, just so that I can really see what the next Pokemon is going to be, and I wanted to farm up this energy so I could have either an Ice Beam or a Surf depending on what came in. And it was Altaria. I accidentally hit Surf. I think I was trying to switch, but it was okay because it still got rid of that shield, and then I was able to pull off another Surf even though I could have hit the Ice Beam. I wasn't going to risk it because you can see I barely have any HP, so I hit the Altaria with a Surf, and I get about half of its damage done. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in Bastiodon. Bastiodon walls off Altaria. And I'm going to just farm it up for some energy. And Bastiodon takes a long time, but I knew Lucario was coming in, so I switched immediately to Charizard so that he could just take out Lucario. Once again, the Charizard just kind of eats Lucario for breakfast. You can just kill it with the fire spins and stack up a bunch of that energy. So in comes Altaria, and I have the Dragon Claw ready. And then I take out the Altaria. So now we get to go into game 3, and this was pretty much for the championship. There was 8 people, so it was just enough to get it ranked. And this is the last round. Whoever wins out of us two is going to win the tournament. So kind of like the finals, if you will. And then I was just thinking that worked really well. I think I'm gonna go with it again, so I do. The exact same thing, especially since I thought it was probably going to be an Altaria lead, but it is Lapras, and immediately I realize I'm in a little bit of trouble because it is a water gun Lapras. But I do get to surf first because I have Ice Shard. I tried to switch and it didn't let me, and I guess I hit the charge button. This is kind of what happened to me in the Tempest Cup, but this time it didn't really affect my outcome at all. So I switched into Bastiodon, kind of risky, but since it was Water Gun, she thought that she could stay in and take out the Bastiodon with the Lapras, and Bastiodon is just so bulky. And we're going to go ahead and hit Stone Edge here eventually. We do need to shield this one because it almost KOs us. But we're going to go ahead and hit the Stone Edge. And luckily for us, she was super nervous because she had Lucario in the back. And she even explained it to me as to why she didn't shield. But she had Lucario in the back, so she wanted to save her shield for Lucario. Infernape's going to take out my Bastiodon here. I could have switched to Charizard, but I felt like I had a Surf Charge for Lapras. I didn't realize how that swap-in kind of worked, but I used my shield. And since she had Lucario in the back, she's still saving that shield for Lucario. So this Surf actually takes out the Infernape, and then in comes Lucario, and then I switch to Charizard again. Kind of the exact same scenario as last time, and obviously Charizard is going to win against Lucario in almost any matchup, you know, even if I'm down shields. But since we both have a shield left, it didn't matter, and then I can just take it out with fast attacks. Do use the Dragon Claw just in case, but the fast attacks will take it out, no problem. So I was victorious, and I really like this lineup, so if you still haven't done your Kingdom Cup, I recommend trying it out. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys for some Nightmare Cup content. Thank you. See you in the next video.